Okay, I think I'm reusing a title from a couple of days ago. So let's see. We'll talk about a few things. I think we have. I want to get away from flat Earth in general. May keep an eye on Mikey, but there's other topics to cover. Anybody hearing me? Anybody know that I'm online? But there's other topics to be covered than flat Earth, and just sorry for this. Excuse me. But there's other things to be covered. We could cover Mudfossil University, or there's See the Pattern. He's more cosmic than flat Earth. I tend to like to do research on these guys before I actually say anything, but this guy is from Australia. There's some things in modern cosmology he doesn't like and wants to change. So there's also Sky Scholar PM Robitaille. He's a condensed matter chemist, or he's done research in MRI, but he thinks he knows better than astronomers. Okay, and there's Mudfossil University. He thinks everything is a human being or a giant that got stuck in mud years ago. But here's an interest. This does go back to flat Earth. This is a couple of women who investigate things, and they decided to investigate flat Earth. I brought it up to an appropriate section. The channel name is Melissa Dougherty. Dougherty. But there's a few things that we've covered people covered many times. Of course, I do it in the middle of an ad, and I'm going to probably
question again?
Need clarity? Try SurveyMonkey.
Think the Ram 1500 is just a truck?
I should have waited until after the commercial.
Just a power player?
What I believe. So I'm trying to get it accurate.
Yeah.
The first is that they believe that the horizon is always flat. So regardless of altitude, the horizon is flat and at eye level. But the thing is, the Earth's curve is so minuscule from any point,
yes,
your eyes probably wouldn't be able to pick up on it.
Exactly.
So it's just your perception, is all that is.
I like to say these two are Christian ladies. One of them, the one in the blue, I think teaches business at a Catholic or Christian university. Her husband's a scientist, she said earlier. So.
And it's an easy answer, but it is one of the most common arguments that they make.
Okay.
Another one is, again, there's no observable curvature. So that's actually there's a scientific reason behind that. It's called atmospheric refraction.
Yeah.
Atmospheric refraction is the bending of light. So when it passes through the Earth's atmosphere, the light bends, and our eyes just cannot pick up on the curve. It's just, we can't do it. Our eyes are not great, not really.
Yeah.
And so we just have to admit what we're incapable of seeing, and we cannot see the curve. Behavior of water. So this was an interesting one. Way back in the day, there was somebody who did a study. His name was Parallax. Well, he went by Parallax. And he was the founder of something, but he ended up doing this. It's called the Zetetic philosophy. We're not getting too deep into
Heard of that
but
before.
essentially what his claim was, and this was perpetuated by somebody else who finished his research, named Samuel Robotham, basically said that the water is always flat, level, and doesn't curve. So the answer to that is gravity.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
many flat earthers don't believe that gravity is a real thing.
I'm sorry, what?
It's true. Many flat earthers do not believe that gravity is a real thing. They reject gravity as a force. So their response is objects fall because they're denser than the air around them. So a rock sinks because it's denser than water. A balloon rises because it's lighter. That we could just ask them, why do you believe that? And I think your answer, from depending on which flat earther you speak with, will probably be slightly different.
You know, it's interesting though, the domino effect that this has. That
Yes.
Okay, so like for example, atheism.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about the religious point here, but just the reaction on their face. That's probably what most people feel like when they hear flat earthers or gravity does not exist. And these are people who don't have really much training in science directly. So, yeah, that's how most people see it. I wish most flat earthers would just see how most people take it.
They have their worldview, but to be consistent with it, they have to deny certain things. Like, for example, in my opinion, two of the strongest arguments for God are the teleological and moral.
Yes.
The design of everything and morality, the law of morality. They have to deny. An honest atheist will be like, yeah, morality is a social construct, right? It's something that's made up. If they're consistent, they have to deny it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what this sounds like, where it's like, okay, if you believe the earth is flat, you have to deny other things to stay consistent with that.
But if the scientists have lied to us about the shape of the earth, why wouldn't they be lying to us about gravity?
Why not lie to us about soap?
I mean, it's important to see. You have to carry things to their logical conclusions.
How far are you going to take this?
Yes.
Okay.
Another one is lack of authentic space imagery. So again, any space imagery has been doctored or created through CG. Nowadays, CGI. Back in the day, like in a Hollywood sound studio or stage, that's where they filmed the moon landing. Even the Antarctica experiment, the final experiment in December 2024, flat earthers who deny they'll deny some. There are some that deny that it happened. So they'll flat out say it was done on a green screen. There is one scene where somebody is wearing a jacket and it has a spot of green on it.
Okay, what happened here was there was a producer. I think his name was Tom. Can't remember his whole name, but he was there, and yeah, he had a little green patch on his sweater. And there was another guy named Will Duffy, who was a pastor, who funded the entire expedition to Antarctica. And Duffy used to have his background for the final experiment. Duffy's left the final experiment in flat Earth, as far as I know. But yeah, the little patch here said TFE on it, and the background had Antarctica. So therefore, the green screen couldn't. It takes them a couple minutes to figure things out, but that's what happened. Oh yeah, and Professor Dave is Dave Ferreira. He's a YouTuber who does a lot of instructional coursework, and then does some debunking. He can be a little direct with his language.
So it picks up his whatever he's scheduled for his background to be when he's in his studio.
Yeah.
He never turned it off. So on his jacket is like the background that would normally be on his YouTube channel, but it's on this small patch. The thing is, had it been in a green screen, the whole back would have also been the background, not Antarctica. So it's actually a proof that it wasn't done on a stage with a green screen, the fact that it appeared on his patch. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, so when YouTubers have green screens in the back,
Yes,
they can put right
here. Yeah.
Yeah, so they can program. I don't know how y'all do your technology, but you can program it so that the green screen will have something in the background.
Yeah. I do that in editing, though. Okay.
Consistently. alternate reality. And in some cases, I would say that that cost is too great, and they are unwilling to do so. Airplane flight paths. One of the things that they'll argue is that international flight paths make more sense on a flat Earth map, but the response to that is actually it's just airspace restrictions. That's what you're seeing. They will claim that there are...
Okay, it was really the gravity bit that I wanted to show, but okay, I'm going to do a little bit of Mudfossil University. He did this as a premiere earlier. So, is the output coming out? Just a second, we'll test.
Okay, they are looking for extraterrestrial intelligence. Now, does that mean biology? If biology is out there, would that qualify as something that's intelligent? I believe all life is intelligent, 100%. So would that be something? Let's see what they have to say about this 3I Atlas and about other things that are space, which I have just shown you and will show you forever here until it's finally discussed openly. And that's the problem. They won't discuss it openly because
okay, maybe that will show things up a little better.
And it upsets basically everything they've been talking about since there's been speech. Okay, I go into a big long thing about this, but this is the Pistis Sophia text, and it says, Jesus said to his disciples after he came back after his resurrection for 11 years, he said, I come forth out of that first mystery, which is the last mystery, the 24th mystery, and his disciples have not known nor understood that anything exists within that mystery. But they thought of that mystery as the head of the universe and the head of all existence. And they thought it is the completion of all completions because Jesus had said to them concerning that mystery, it surrounds the first commandment and the 5 impressions and the great light, and the 5 helpers and the whole treasury of light. And listen to this now. And moreover, Jesus has not told his disciples, he never told them anything hardly before, about the total expansion of all the regions of the great invisibles, 3 triple powers, 4 and 20 invisibles, the regions and eons of their orders, how they're extended. AA is generated, and they're generated, and they're light givers. They're unpaired, they're rulers, they're authorities, they're lords, they're archangels, they're angels, they're deacons, servitors, in all the houses of their spheres, and all the orders of every one of them. And Jesus talked about his Father had many mansions and unbelievable number of all these things, but he hadn't told them any of that stuff. And then it goes on about the treasury of the light, and here it is, who was the guards at the treasury of the light, and the twin saviors, who's just the child of the child. I mean, this gets very, very, very deep and complicated. However, it does solve my dilemma of where did all this crazy stuff come from? All this monstrous stuff. I know a lot of where it came from is here in this solar system. This 3IA is supposedly not from our region. It could have come in from another aeon or light region or whatever you would call it.
Another solar system?
And it's acting a little strange, is what they're saying. But I want to see what SETI has to say about this. Okay, my friends, they came back from Bennu with a sample of heart tissue, because it is a heart, and this is what heart sarcomeres look like. And this is what they came back from Bennu with, right there. And these are the bundles. And these are the membranes, and it has exactly the identical chemistry that's in us, in the same body parts. No difference whatsoever. They say, well, maybe it brought life to Earth. No, it is life, and it is a heart.
Okay. What he believes is asteroids are body parts of giants. No real proof of this. It's a good example of pareidolia, just seeing patterns where they don't exist. But like he says, like somebody says, like, oh, this molecule is an organic molecule. He says, well, that's from life. And anything looks roughly like the body part of something, he'll say that's a heart, or that's a hip bone, or that's a finger bone. Like Kamehameha, he thinks is a finger bone. I think he said that later on, but I've seen a bit of this ahead of time.
And so is that. Psyche is a heart. That is a hip joint. You see that? Squirting out juices. I'm going to go into these very deep in a minute, but it was a hip. It's a hip. These things are absolutely enormous. And I always get these questions, oh, that's impossible. How could they be so big? That's just crazy. Well, yes. However, when I read you what is written in the Nag Hammadi text from Jesus Christ about all these aeons and regions and the pleroma and all this just crazy stuff about, I mean, I'm going to go through it.
Okay, I'm not going to make any comments about religion, but you kind of have to separate religion from science most of the time. And just because it says so in a religious text does not mean it's true by science. Science investigates it, finds evidence, tests it, and if the tests come out saying that's the truth, that's the truth. So
I'm throwing this in to prepare you, so get ready. We live in a biological universe. Now you have to get over that before you can start to understand the reality of the rest of the meaning of this universe. If this stuff is real, what does it mean? Okay, let's just get past the fact that we are living in a biological universe. And this is the Gnostic library, the Nag Hammadi text that they found in 1945, buried when Jesus said, bury them because they're going to destroy them. I'm going to be resurrected and I'm coming back and I'll tell you the whole story. And this is what happened. This is the gospel of truth. The gospel of truth is joy to those who have received from the Father of truth. The Father of truth. Well, I look at it. And then I examine it and I hear what everybody's got to say on all the sides. Because I have found that the things you would consider to be insane are true in a lot of cases. And I mean a lot of cases. All the ancient texts and so forth that we laughed at hysterically, anybody believe that, you've got to be insane. Well, if there's evidence to support it, then you would not be insane.
Okay.
And there is voluminous evidence to support these things, including battles in the heavens leading to these body parts that are floating around. We just went to Bennu, right there, picked up a sample of it right here, and it is heart muscle just like this, sarcomeres. Now, I'm going to show you this, and just a little quick thing, because I've shown it so many times. It's undeniable. We are in a universe of biology. And the biology is so spectacularly large, that is what is the rub on everybody. They just can't believe how this is possible. And I don't discount that at all. I don't know how, did they come from maybe like where this new comet or asteroid is coming in from? I don't know. They're saying it doesn't act the same and so forth. I want to see what they have to say in this SETI video, not the NASA. Well, I guess they're all hooked together, but this is about extraterrestrial intelligence. They're looking for life out there. Not just look.
Okay. SETI is looking for like radio signatures or what they call techno-signatures, like if an atmosphere has chlorofluorocarbons, which we used to put in the atmosphere through cooling freezers or in aerosol cans, and then we realized that these chemicals actually harm the ozone layer. These chemicals are not found in nature, so if a culture had CFCs and was using them for a short period of time until they realized it was hurting their atmosphere. That would be a signature of life, or light on a dark side of the planet, or chemicals that are only found through processing for electricity or food or stuff like that. If there was some kind of weird signature there, or a weird radio signal out of a solar system, that's what SETI's looking for. There's also panspermia, which is that asteroids and comets from other systems came in with organic molecules that help start life. That's what SETI and NASA's looking for. They're not looking for giants in space.
Looking for rocks floating through space, which there is no rocks anywhere. Basically, the rocks are hard biology. It's time to get over this and start to think. All right? You with me on this? Let's take a look. All right, all I want is truth, and I want people to be exposed to the truth rather than dominated and said, no, if it's not peer-reviewed, you can't listen to it. And that's what's happened now. It's a gang that's taken over what they consider to be intelligence, and you have to acquiesce to those dictates, and that's just not right. A rational divine intelligence is what logos is all about. Logos means thinking, understanding, and then making a decision, not being forced into a decision that you, in most cases now, you realize is not true. In this is Greek philosophy. It's a divine intelligence. It's a thinking process. It's not just you teach me and I repeat what you say. That is not intelligence. Christian theology refers to the divine reasoning or reason, often identified with Jesus Christ as a Word of God who was active in creation. Absolutely. Jesus appears to have been here from basically day one, as far as I can determine. Now, he's the Son of God. When God had that Son, I don't know. There's a lot of things I have no clue about, and I'm trying to understand. And that I'm trying to use the power of divine intelligence. Understand for yourself. Don't be forced into something. All right, this is about as deep as it's ever going to get. I have 100% proven that the things coming through space are biological. Now, this is the Nag Hammadi texts, 52 texts that were found in 1945, buried when Jesus was around, walking around, making statements. This is all about his life. And when he came back to Earth after resurrection, he spent 11 years conversing with his disciples and telling them all the things he never told them. Wait till you hear this. Now, this is one of the texts in the Gospel of Truth. The Gospel of Truth is joy to those who have received from the Father of truth, that became a fruit of the knowledge of the Father. We never did that. I'm a material guy. This is material stuff. Let me show you something. This has changed my whole life, 100%. All right, all these Nag Hammadi texts, they're online.
Hello.
And they are very, very illuminating.
Shut up.
The Gospel of Truth is joy to those who've received it from the Father of truth, the gift of knowing him by the power of the Logos, which means thinking, reasoning.
Okay, for whoever just showed up, we're going through Mudfossil University. If you don't know much about Mudfossil University, Roger believes everything in all the asteroids and comets is life, are bits and pieces of a giant. Like Kamehameha was a fingertip, and some other part is a heart, and so on. And he's going through a Christian book, I think was written by after part of the Gnostic religions.
Who has come from the pleroma. and who is in the thought and mind of the Father. He is the one who is called the Savior, since that is the name of the work he must do for the redemption of those who have not known the Father. I'm telling you, things, and they have the muscle sarcomere back here on Earth. They claim, yes, it's all exactly biological. Maybe it came from space to Earth. Well, that's possible, but it's also out there right now, and these are body parts. They're not just some scraps. They said it's just a pile of debris. Totally wrong. They went in right here, dropped in, and they flushed everything away with a blast of nitrogen gas, and got them right down to the muscle. Grabbed the muscle, came back to Earth with it, and here it is right here. That's the muscle they came back with. Those are sarcomeres, they're little pinchy things, and they have layers of membrane on top and bottom, and they are in bundles. They come out this way, and this is...
Yeah, so asteroids are muscles, or have muscles in them, or in bone. That's generally what he believes. And he believes that some geological foundation or formations are dragons and stuff on Earth.
Just cut looking down at the bundles, how they pinch together. And that's what they came back with. And they say, yeah, all the uracil, the DNA, everything, the RNA, they claim there's no real DNA there, but there's all the building blocks. Well, I say there's DNA in there. And anyway, I'd like to have an outside examination of that.
Yeah, Dougal Dog. I'm trying to branch out of flat Earth stuff, so. But yeah, I've looked at him before, but yeah, he as he's saying, he thinks that there's DNA in rocks. There's the building blocks of DNA and proteins in the rocks, but that's could be part of panspermia, which is a real theory that people came up with, is that the building blocks of life came from comets and rocks and stuff from space over the millennia. Now, where did I put him?
Other than somebody that is in that academic realm, they just can't bring themselves to deal with this. This was 10 years ago, and that's a blast of artery smoke. It's polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons from burning off. My point being here is, we don't know what's in space. We don't know what's in the universe.
Well, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons can have many sources, and they could have been that there was another solar system with life in it before us, and that sun exploded or went into a planetary nebula, and everything had to be pushed back into life again, or into planets and the sun and everything again. So.
And when you start reading the things that Christ said, I never told them about all of these regions. I'm going to read it to you right now. It's staggering. All right, Christ came back after he died. He resurrected, came back, met all his disciples, and then he taught them for 11 years all the things he never taught them before. These are the books.
Excuse me, Dougal Dog.
This is the first book of Pistis Sophia.
Got something in my throat.
Those are all the chapters. Second book, third book, fourth, fifth, sixth.
I think these are all
all of those books were included in these Nag Hammadi texts.
These are probably not considered.
We're just going to go to chapter 1 of the first book of Pistis Sophia, because here he all I know is about the Gnostics is they were a different branch of Christianity, mostly I think in Egypt. So this is probably outside of the standard Catholic and Christian knowledge. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead here.
So I
don't know if eventually
don't really want to talk about other people's religion. That's not my issue. This is his. It's outside of
they
science.
did think he was all right, but originally they said, we got to go get him. He's off his nut. And they wanted to go take him back and, incarcerate him or do something to him because he was making all these proclamations about being from God. And
I don't think this is what he's talking about, but Roger's also a follower of Immanuel Velikovsky, who is an archaeologist in the 50s or 60s who wrote a book called Worlds and Collisions, who thought Venus came from the center of Jupiter and was a comet that was seen in the Bible and slowed the Earth's orbit and then sped it back up and went to orbit and where Venus orbits today. And that was like 1,500, 1,600 years ago. No, sorry, 2,600 years ago, or around biblical times. So that he kind of has a couple of different ideas.
even his own family went against him. So he didn't have many people pulling for him back then.
My chefs use QuickBooks mobile app, and it's so easy. It's like you snap a
I don't
photo
know
and
if
then
he
you just
does
like create expense
the
and it goes
Tartarian
out.
stuff
so
or
my
not,
chefs
but-
can be doing that in the kitchen, and I'm at home. Like
I'm getting a lot of his ads.
No, Jesus talked about all these other realms and these eons, and I mean, it goes up one more rung and a rung and a rung until you get up to the treasure.
I think his mud flood happened before humans, or before we actually built much, so I don't think he does much Tartaria stuff.
Real light, and then apparently they divide up that light, and you get a certain chunk of it to use. And Jesus apparently withdrew a third of that light power from the creatures that were here, that were having these battles in space, and took the, I think, this is very confusing, so don't hold me to anything. This is research. I think I read somewhere that he took 30% or a third of their power. I believe it was light power. They couldn't go and attack each other anymore. And Ovid, as Ovid wrote, O-V-I-D, Ovid, he wrote, these creatures could turn themselves into anything they want. They could travel anywhere they wanted. Well, I think maybe Jesus restricted that.
I'm going to try to see if I can find any.
But I don't know that for a fact. These are the things that we really got to dig deep. But I can show you 100% certainty.
What piqued me was the SETI bit of this.
I'm not hiding anything. Here they are, and I have all the chemistry. I've done all of that stuff over and over and over.
Sorry to jump ahead.
So I want somebody.
Sorry to jump ahead like that, but I don't really want to talk about much about the religion. I know there's other people who probably want to do this. The thing is I think I'm getting tired of Flat Earth. Mikey and Austin. I don't really cover Earth and them, so.
Somebody to confront me. And I'm talking now about what Jesus Christ said about all of this stuff. The invisibles, the triple powers, the 4 and 20 invisibles, the aeons, the orders, the emanations. This goes on and on and on. The angels, the deacons. This is just stunning. Now, is that the source of these extraterrestrial body parts? I don't know. All right, this was a video I was going to go through about what they found. This 3-eye atlas was striking, all right, and it's getting very close to the sun that they didn't expect. Now, it's also doing certain things, brightness surging dramatically. I sort of understand some of this, but is there something else going on here? I don't know. I want to know what they are claiming. So we're going to do this. This is kind of long, so I'm going to sort of jump in and out of it. But even today, I think I'll just give an introduction to it. Then I can give some real focus to it. Because I run things much too long. I know that. It's just the way I do things. So we're just going to look at this just for a minute or two to see what their original comments are. Okay, let's just get an idea of what they are talking about. And they're saying, let us know where you're watching from. Now, I'm going to have closed captions on so you can hear.
We're going to explain what we know about this exocomet and go through your questions as well. First of all, let us know where you're watching us from, and let's start. So, this is very different. This is an interesting exocomet. It's the third one. So
SETI generally asks that question on every video, where you're coming from, watching from.
Set the stage. What do we know about this? When was it discovered? And tell us a bit about the background story first.
Yeah, so this interstellar comet, 3I Atlas, was discovered on July 1st, so this summer. And it was very exciting because it was only the third one we've ever discovered, and it had been several years since the last discovery. We had 1I Oumuamua in 2017, and then 2I Borisov in 2019, and then we had a little bit of time before this third one was discovered. So it was kind of like, finally, a very exciting.
She mentioned Ryukov, I believe, hold on one second, which also was biological. And they thought they must have contaminated it. Now, hold on, I'm going to run it here.
So this summer. And it was very exciting because it was only the third one we've ever discovered, and it had been several years since the last.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt here. Dougal Dog, if you go back to the first part of this video, I show a video of a couple normal people who haven't been following Flat Earth religiously for the last couple of years and just finding out about all the arguments and stuff, and they're Christian, and their impression of all the I just did a quick snip of their conversation, but yeah, it's they even find most of it silly. So and part of it is rehashing the final experiment stuff and the green screen concerns.
Last discovery, we had 1I Oumuamua.
Oumuamua, that one there is also biology. It's a finger.
In 2017, and then 2I Borisov in 2019.
Borisov in 2019. All right, let's get a background on this real quick. This is about 3I Atlas, which is the third interstellar, which means from another solar system, apparently is what they're saying.
19, and then we had a little bit of time before this third one was discovered. So it was kind of like, finally, a very exciting discovery, I would say.
That's an exciting discovery, but they just found this thing a couple of months ago. It was never, they didn't know it was there. And it's big enough that if it hit us, it wouldn't be a good day.
Yeah. So this was discovered by a telescope in Chile, if I remember, Atlas, right?
Yes.
That's the reason it's called 3I Atlas.
Yes.
And so let's talk about the comet. So a comet is made of a nucleus, there is a coma, there is tails, etc. So there was some kind of reports suggesting that 3I was kind of a gigantic comet, up to 10 kilometers. Can you tell us what we now know about this comet, if we know about the size of it specifically?
Yeah, sure. So when this comet was first discovered, it was still pretty far away from the sun. It was approaching perihelion, so it's coming in to our solar system still. And at the time, the comet was around 17 to 18th magnitude, which it was kind of faint. For small telescopes, very faint. For large telescopes, it could see it just fine, but still on the fainter side and small on detectors. So when we have this image of this comet, it was kind of hard to distinguish it from the stars in the field. And the way we often distinguish comets from the stars and give it that cometary designation is by identifying that it has a coma. So you have, like you said, for comets, you have a nucleus. That nucleus has ices on it that eventually sublimate into gases. That gas carries dust with it and creates this coma around the nucleus, fuzzy cloud. And so it should look fuzzy in pictures. And so there was some debate around, is this fuzzier than the stars in the field or not, at first. So there was assumptions saying...
Not being very transformative here, but I'll have to keep listening to them.
Okay, let's just say all the flux that we're seeing, the brightness from what we're seeing is all coming from the nucleus, that there is no coma. At least maybe not yet, or maybe it won't ever have one, but for the no coma camp, if you take that brightness and give it an associated radius or diameter,
all right, that's an interesting statement. They're talking about there was no coma. It was bright, but there was no coma. All right, so they're trying to figure out how big it is associated to the brightness, and it wasn't bright, or I guess it had some kind of brightness, but no coma. Anyway, as I've shown you, these are actual pictures. They actually landed on there, the Philae lander, in 2015. And they went in and they took the samples, and it's identical, chemistry and everything, as the Murchison one. The only difference was the hydrocarbons.
Okay, the one in 2015 I think was 67P, not 3A, not 3I Atlas. And 67P is a solar from a comet from our solar system, and the other one's probably from our solar system, so they probably would have similar chemistry. No big deal there.
Were less in a Murchison because it burnt off coming through space. This is still out there, and the hydrocarbon gases given off are because it's cooking in the sunlight. That's why they have to be close to the sun before they start all of this. That's not just dusting off of here. That's shooting out of there because
what it is the gases are actually stuff like methane and ammonia, which sublimate at very low temperatures, so they go directly to gas. They don't cook. That's just jumping to conclusions.
Because it is biology, and every single one of them is biology. Closer they get to the sun, the more they shoot off, and then they keep going, and that stuff floats away as what they call a coma, the tail.
I keep getting his ads. Blah, 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 blah.
It starts with a simple grain of delicious treats and ends with a whoops.
Well, I'm recording this too, so I may have to edit
I
this.
want to toss these in because I was just looking at this real quick. Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. And I'm telling you, a lot of looking before you
Generally good advice. You should keep looking for this thing until you find it. But
find. When they find, they will be disturbed. Quite obviously, what I have shown is disturbing. When they're disturbed, they will marvel and will reign over all, whatever that means. And after they have reigned, they will rest. Now it says whoever is one astronomical unit, right? So from the Earth, it says, if you understand, play located between Earth and Mars. Now, this is 2015. They took these pictures. And I will show you. That's my feeling right now. Okay, we got 67P, which I showed you before, gassing
identify
off,
it as 67P.
and its closest pass to the sun, about 1.2 astronomical units away. That's the distance between the Earth and the sun is 1 astronomical unit, right? So from the Earth to the sun, I think before I said Earth to the moon, but it's the Earth to the sun is the astronomical unit. That's the distance. And this was only 1 1/4 of that, and this is a big, big monster. Now, and it is about the distance at its closest point in its orbit, which is located between Earth and Mars. Now, this is 2015. They took these pictures. And I will show you what they did. Okay, I've been showing this a lot lately, and I'm going to continue to show it until somebody says, let's take a look at it, because this vapor here is identical to the one in the meteorites that come to Earth. It's the exact same chemistry because it's from blood. Now the ones that hit Earth have less hydrocarbons because they came through a burning atmosphere. This did not. Now, but the sunlight is hitting it just right at its closest point to the sun, and it just right.
It may have similar chemistry to blood, but it's not blood. But blood also has iron and molybdenum, and I don't think many of these traces have much iron or molybdenum. Molybdenum, which is what we call a rare earth element. So, unless they can find that element in the stream, it's probably not blood. And it's I'm arguing whether or not asteroids have blood. Or comets have blood. No, it's not blood. Blood may have similar compounds in it, and for building blocks, but it's not blood. A lot of carbon is carbon, hydrogen is hydrogen, oxygen is oxygen. That's basically what it is.
Down into the artery, and out it's shooting the gases. They don't ignite because it's there's not enough oxygen out there. Now that's the artery really shooting out of here. These are the little, where the tendons come down. They have a little moisture between them, and then I believe this is little blood vessels. Wherever they're shooting out or pointing out, that's some form of biology there. This one here is a tube that's just a gigantic, monstrous tube. And they went to Bennu, and they went, it's a heart. Bennu's a heart. These are the muscle sarcomeres. I've shown this over.
This is pareidolia. It's our eyes and brains seeing patterns in objects. It's useful because it helps us figure out things on Earth, but he jumps to these conclusions that these are parts of muscles and these asteroids.
Over and over. And if they can't live with what they find, they shouldn't even be starting. How they can not understand what that is and what that is and what a heart is, they have to have multidisciplinary people. You have to, that's a hip joint or something like that. It's a joint of some sort. And it broke off right about here. Now, I'm telling you, that's what these things are. And this is what happens in the heart. The top plumbing is like basically glued on and pops off, and you end up with this. And that's what we're finding in space. Psyche, Bennu, and I'm sure there's a ton more of them, because every one of these creatures had a heart, apparently. I haven't found anything that's not red-blooded. And I found all kinds of stuff, all kinds of things they never expected here on Earth. And this is all new, and it's basically the biggest discovery in human history. And it validates these earliest stories about battles in the heavens and gods and all, you know, and I have to believe that Jesus Christ was sent here to save the people that want to be saved, that are going to pay attention. That's all I can tell you. So if you're not paying attention, good for you. If you are, better for you. Now don't forget, you got muscle from a heart floating around in space. They went up and they grabbed a chunk of it. That's not, and it's here. It's been here for 2 years.
In Bennu, what they found was actually amino acids, which are building blocks for proteins and organic compounds. They didn't find heart tissue.
And this was their mission, to go up there and how can we better understand, you know, Bennu. So,
Bennu, there's a side story about Bennu. To find the landing spot, they used citizen science to find the landing spot. But Bennu is just more like a rubble pile than one solid object, so it's very hard to find one clear spot for their lander to hit.
I think it's time to spread this word to your friends and family, and you know, don't shy away from it. Don't hide and think that you're don't be scared to talk about it. And that's what I found. I found a lot of people are. And, it's a little, it's hard to break that ice with somebody because it's such a staggering change. But there will be a few that their minds will be open enough to engage and ask questions. The best way to do it is to try to get them to ask questions. Just sort of throw something silly out there, or that sounds silly. Like, those things in space. Did you see the thing about that heart in space? Just something silly like that. Did you? And ask a question. But they might, those people are crazy. Say, and maybe play along with them and then just say, well, yeah, but you should see some of the stuff. I don't know how I can explain it. And they can't. They can't explain it. Nobody can explain it. So they won't talk about it. So anyway, be slick the way you do it. You know what I'm saying? I've been looking through this a little bit, and I don't see much to discuss at this point. I don't think they have enough information. They really don't even know the size of the nucleus or what it looks like, or it doesn't sound like they're doing too much with the chemistry yet. I will dig deeper into this one.
Okay, I'm gonna not call it quits. I want to. Here's the thing: we have Mudfossil University that we can do. Okay, these are those two ladies. Okay, that's Creaky Blinder. Well, there's other channels that I used to go through. There's See the Pattern. This guy does cosmology and stuff. He doesn't like the Big Bang. A lot of the people who do alternate things don't like the Big Bang or black holes or any of that stuff. So they come up with these alternate views of doing it. This is See the Pattern. It's Gareth Samuels, or Samuel Gareth. I think he's from Australia, but sometimes he gets stuff, explains stuff right, and then he goes way off into his own stuff. So, and he's got, those are just the short videos, that is. But he's got tons and tons of videos to go through. I haven't done much because I've been distracted by watching Toon and Fight the Flat Earth. But yeah, there's still all this that has to, and he believes in the ether and trying to redo the variable speed of light, and he doesn't like redshift to find the distance. There's some people do intrinsic redshift, and that's the background of my own channel. More, I should do less of that. Yeah, he's not like Mikey. He actually believes in space. There is one more channel that we should go through. It's called Demystifying Science. I don't think I did. If I can spell. Demystifying Science. These are actually biologists, but they have starting to make a channel of promoting bad stuff. Actually, this sham peer review I think is actually a pretty good one, but and actually one of the ones the interviewees in the sham peer review is the wife of Sky Scholar PM Robitaille. He's another one that's trying to rewrite the universe. Instead of fusion in the middle of stars, it's condensed matter, and he's a chemist, a condensed matter chemist, which is solids and liquids. And the theory that you need a container to do spectroscopy, I think this actually originated with him. He's been around for a few years, but he's actually pretty well known for doing MRI research, but then he went into and to try to rewrite astronomy. He's been around since 2017, so 8 years. Okay, I've been going for about an hour. I may do this like once a day for a while because there's lots of stuff to clear, and hopefully I'll get more viewers. But how long have I been? So if you guys really want to go in a certain direction away from flat Earth, I'm not going to do young Earth creationism. I don't want to go into religion, too far into religion, unless they deal directly with astronomy. But if in the comments, put a comment, which area do you want to go into, or which channel you want to talk about for a while, do that. It is Tuesday night, so probably in about an hour and a half or so, MC Tune will be going on. So, and I know Max is at Europe Mate Talks is doing something on religion. I'm going to do some more research and catch up on some podcasts. So I hope everybody has a good night, and goodbye, and see you later.